Hi, my name is Trent, and welcome to Practice Makes Better Music. This is a site dedicated to the art of effective practice. If you haven't already, check out the free course I have available, Pentatonic Pathways. I developed this course to help you improve your soloing chops through a more thorough understanding of the fretboard using the pentatonic shapes. So you can also download a free PDF of the visuals and the sheet music that accompany this lesson at the site, practicemakesbettermusic.com. Today I'm going to talk about half diminished chords. And this is a really interesting type of chord because you can really get an idea for how chords can be used in multiple scenarios even without changing the voicing. So what I mean by that is if you take a half diminished chord and you move around to a few different root notes in relation to that same chord, all the same notes, you make 4 different chords. So first I just want to talk through the 4 different chords that you can make out of this one chord. So obviously you can make an E minor 7 flat 5, also known as E half diminished. I kind of use those terms interchangeably. Most of the time I call it a half diminished. And what this chord is made up of is a diminished triad, so it's the 1, the E, the flat 3, which is G, the flat 5, which is B flat, and then the flat 7, which is D. And in this regular chord voicing here, you have the arrangement of 1, flat 5, flat 7, and flat 3. And this differs than the fully diminished chord only in one note. So in a fully diminished chord, I would also lower the 7 to the flat 7 to the 6, or the double flat 7 to create a fully diminished chord voicing. But in the half diminished, you have still the same 7, the flat 7 from a minor 7 chord. So it's basically just the same as a minor 7 chord, just with a lowered fifth. So if I take that E minor 7 flat 5 or E half diminished and I put it over, let's say, a G note, now I've got a G minor 6 chord. If I lower that G note to an F sharp, now I've got an F sharp 7 altered. The notes I have here would be the flat 7, the 3, the sharp 5, and the flat 9, which makes a very tense, dissonant chord, also known as an altered chord. Then, if I move that root note up to a C, and I keep the same exact voicing, now I've got a C9. So that creates a chord that you can use over any dominant chord where you can use a natural 9. So I'm going to go into more detail about that in just a minute. The practice workout at the end of this video for today goes through the exercise I'm going to show you, moving through all the inversions of that chord shape on 2 string sets. But then underneath it, I have a backing track that's changing root notes between those 4 different root notes. So you'll be practicing the same exact chord voicings moving up and down. So you'll go through 1 repetition over E, and then the root note changes to a G, and you can hear how that exact same exercise sounds very different when you're playing it over a G, creating a G minor 6, and so on. So you then, next after that would be the F sharp, and then up to the C, and that creates the full exercise, or the full workout for today. So that's at the end of this video, and for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the inversions on the 2 string sets and how I'm connecting them using a melodic line that's moving up. So, as I showed you, starting here, this is the standard, this is my root position half diminished chord. So I have my E on bottom, then I'm barring either my 2nd or 3rd finger to get these 3 notes, 3rd fret, with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string. And so this is my first voicing. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move, as you can see in the visual, you can see that there's that note that's not filled in. That's going to be the note that is moving up and down to create a melodic motion to bring us through all these inversions. So I'm going to go from here, I'm going to play this note on top, then I'm going to move to the next inversion. Now this one, I'm going to bar my 1st finger at the 5th fret, and then I'm going to play the 6th fret on the 1st string with my 2nd finger, and the 7th fret on the 3rd string with my 3rd finger. So the first motion goes from this root position voicing. I hit that melody note at the 5th fret of the 1st string, and then I go up to this voicing here, which is a first inversion of the E half diminished. So I have root position up to first inversion. Now, if you look at the note that's not filled in on this visual, I'm going to move my pinky up to that, which is the 8th fret on the 1st string, to lead me into the next voicing, which I look at as just kind of a flipping of this fingering here. If I take these 2 fingers and flip them and up into the next position, I've got the exact same, I've got the next voicing, the second inversion of this E half diminished chord. So I've got my first finger barred at the 8th fret, I've got my second finger on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, and my 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the 1st string, and this is a second inversion E half diminished chord. Then I'm adding a note that's a chromatic tone, chromatic passing tone here. It wouldn't be in the scale that accompanies this chord, but then I'm going up to the next chord shape. And this one is kind of a weird chord shape. I like to do it with my second finger playing both the 3rd and 4th string at the 12th fret, then my first finger at the 11th fret of the 2nd string, and my 3rd finger at the 12th fret of the 1st string. So that's my 3rd inversion. 3rd inversion is when we have the 7th of a 7 chord as the lowest note. Then I'm going to play that melodic note and lead myself back up to the root position voicing that we did down here, just an octave up. So now I've moved through all the inversions of the E half diminished chord using a melodic note to connect each of them. And I've reached the top. Now, to go back down, I'm going to do the exact same thing in reverse. So just starting at this root position, going down melodically to this 3rd inversion voicing, playing that chromatic passing tone, to the 2nd inversion, following the melody down to the 1st inversion, back to the root position. So that is the first pattern on the first 4 strings. That's the first string set I'm covering. So in this exercise, it's going to go up just as I just did, and then when we get back down from here, it's going to switch to the next string set. So I'll show you those voicings now. It's going to be exactly all of the exact same notes, just on the next string set, so the chord shapes look a little bit different. And I just want to make a note that the chord shapes on this string set are a little more challenging, a little more of a stretch. So if these are brand new to you, I would suggest spending some time with them before trying to tackle the workout for today, because it's going to move a little bit quickly. It's all in quarter notes, so I was trying to make it accessible for people who these chords are brand new to, but it works up into 4 different tempos, and the last one is going to be hopefully a challenge for you, even if you already are familiar with these chords. And I hope that the understanding of how these apply to different chords, how you can take it and make, the C9 or the F sharp altered or the G minor 6, I hope that kind of expands your understanding so that you're able to use these chords in more scenarios. So the voicings on the next string set start here at E on the 7th fret of the 5th string, and this is a root position voicing, very common root position voicing to use for this chord, for this E half diminished. I've got the 7th fret here, 8th fret, 7th fret, and then 8th fret, going up from the 5th string down up to the 2nd string. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. And actually another fingering that I like to use here is to bar my first finger across the 7th fret, and then use my second finger at the 8th fret of the 4th string, and then my 3rd finger at the 8th fret of the 2nd string. And that way it frees up my pinky to play the next melodic note here, which is going to lead me into my first inversion chord. And this one is a bit of a tricky fingering if it's new to you. So I've got my second finger at the 10th fret of the 5th string, my pinky 4th finger at the 12th fret of the 4th string, my first finger at the 9th fret of the 3rd string, and my 3rd finger at the 11th fret of the 2nd string. So coming from the root position, and then my melodic note leading me into first inversion here. Then I'm gonna move my pinky up and play that melodic note leading me into second inversion, which is a much more comfortable fingering shape for me. I've got my second finger at the 13th fret of the 5th string, third finger at the 14th fret of the 4th string, first finger at the 12th fret of the 3rd string, and fourth finger at the 15th fret of the 2nd string. Now I'm gonna play the chromatic passing note that I did before up on the other string and play the third inversion voicing of this chord, which is at the 17th fret of the 5th string and the 4th string, 15th fret of the 3rd string, and then the 17th fret of the 2nd string. And now I'm gonna bring my melodic note up there, and now I've got this really high up version of the same root note position that I did down there. And just like with the other string set, I'm gonna go backwards from here, moving back down. Second inversion. First inversion. Back to root position. So those are the voicings that we're going to be using. Now, you may want to practice that a few times, going through with the visuals. The PDF, again, is available on my site. And so the PDF includes visuals for each of these different chords that I described at the beginning. And they're all the exact same visuals, except with one difference. They show the intervals in relation to that different chord. So I'm starting with the E half diminished. So we have 1, flat 5, the flat 7, and the flat 3. But then if I put that over G, now my intervals are different. So there's 4 pages that show all of these voicings. They're all the same voicings, but like I said, with the different intervals from each different perspective. So from a perspective of G minor 6, I have the 6, the natural 6th, the flat 3, the 5, and the root note. And, you know, with every different inversion, those intervals just get kind of flipped around, just like any other chord. And then when we hit the F sharp half diminished, or excuse me, the F sharp altered, I've got a flat 7, the 3, the sharp 5, and the flat 9. And then each inversion obviously is just a different version of those. And then with the C9, I've got the 3, the 3rd, the flat 7, the 9, and then the 5. This right here in root position is a very typical voicing for a C9 that you'd hear in funk music or really anywhere. I really like to use these inversions over a C9 situation. So that's all the explanation I'm going to give for this. I hope that makes a lot of sense, and I hope it'll make more sense as you get these different patterns down. You work through these chords, then play along with the workout at the different tempos, see if you can work it up to the fastest tempo. And I think you'll be able to hear how this chord shifts depending on what root note you're playing underneath it. So anyway, enjoy the workout. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I hope this is helpful.